on Instagram Live trying to talk about our topic for the day, which is what do we do when shit hits the fan or the world or everything goes to shit. And our internet connection wasn't working. We tried 3 times. Kept freezing. And so something that you mentioned in the call, in the live, that for those of you that are watching the video now, is that it's a practice to be intentional. It's a practice to shift our focus. And so here we are again, where we're getting back on the horse and trying again. And we're going to be talking about what do we do? What do we do?
And it is a practice, because things are always going to get in our way. Like, despite our best intentions and our best laid plans, life is going to happen. And we do just that. It's like, okay, what's another route? Do we pause? We start tomorrow? Like, there are a million ways we could have handled it. And there's no right or wrong, but it's this like choosing to be, for this example, like, we want to have this conversation, so we're just going to take a different route. So my point also was just, I think a lot of times, and we get preached it so much in our culture, it's like, okay, when I do these things are going to be perfect. Like, life's going to be smooth. I'm not going to have any problems. And it's like, it doesn't work like that, but you can navigate in a much more enjoyable way.
Right. Which brings me to this, what do I do right now? Like, for me right now, what would be helpful for me is to take a couple deep breaths, right? To come back and to like feel my body, to know that I can pause and check back in and, and focus my awareness to what feels more open right now, like for me in my body, like what feels more connected and more grounded, and from that space, choosing to tune back in, right? And
Yes.
something that I love about the work that you do with intention is that you make it really practical, make it really simple and attainable. And I think that your cards are a magnificent way that brings people back into sort of the present, the here and now. So maybe we can start there. Maybe let's rejig, restart, let's pull.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely. And just before I do, that is why I created them, because they came out of my own journey of recovery. And a lot of times, we don't have time for a retreat or a therapy session. And I think both of those things are awesome and essential. I'm not discouraging those, but sometimes in our day-to-day life, we need something that focuses us, that sets our mindset, keeps us off autopilot, and helps us ground. And words are powerful. So by just choosing a card, putting a screensaver on your phone, having a scent or piece of jewelry, something that reminds you to be grounded, or even as you just described, a deep breath, we often need to come back into this moment. So I'm going to pull a card. I think it's this one. Oh, that's the card I pulled this morning. So it's may know possibility.
Beautiful, beautiful.
How does that word resonate with you right now?
I feel it really in my chest. I feel it kind of like in the upper part of my chest and my throat. And it makes me sort of lean into what we were talking about a little bit in the Instagram Live, which is if we can bring ourselves back into the space of centered awareness, we can open to like what's around, not just what's here. When we get into that space of spiraling in our thoughts about doomsday, about what's happening, we lose possibility. We get so focused on the pain, you know, the negativity of what we're experiencing, that we can't even see what else there is. So maybe we can read a little bit about the card, and then I can share an embodiment practice that I like to do that also opens up to possibility.
Absolutely. And I just want to add before I read it, because sometimes people jump to the book, which is not a bad thing, but it just, as Liz just described, it's like what the word means to you. And it could mean different things on different days in different moments. And I also always want to remind people that our intentions are an opportunity. So I sometimes hear people, they pull a card and they're like, that's not possible, or that's like, they do go to the negative, and I'm like, no, 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 no. And it's like, let's be curious, let's just be aware, and maybe we know what it means, or maybe some possibility is going to show up for us. So just as you described, feeling it in your chest, we really want to be open and aware and mindful and curious. So here is the passage. May you know possibility. Open your mind and your heart to all of the possibilities that are out there for your greatest good. May you use your imagination to dream up the best possible day and the best possible year and the best possible life. What does that look like? What small step can you take today to get you just a little bit closer? Open to possibility, and you will find it everywhere.
So powerful. Um, and and I think for me, what also comes up is a sense of trust, right? And that there's so much more that we can't see, that we can't control, that really is supporting us. Oh, that is supporting us, in our life. And it's about trusting our intuition, trusting the baby steps, and that it's all opening as it needs to. Something that I like to do in pairing an intention is an intention and connecting it to my body so that I can feel it in a really powerful way. And so one of the practices that I tend to do when I'm starting to get spirally about, again, I have had like some accidents over the last couple of years that I have a lot of body pain, and sometimes the pain can be really intense. And so something that I do is I do a bit of a body scan, but instead of just focusing on where I feel tension or contraction, I also focus on the opposite. So where I feel openness, where I feel calm, where I feel trust. And every time I do this practice, I'm always surprised by how there's a shift. It might be subtle or might be quite big, where I feel more of a connection, more calm than I did of the pain or the fear or the anxiety than when I started. And what I love about working with intention is that it's something so potent but yet small that we can pair it up with any of our other practices that we have. Meditation, you know, with crystals, with anything, we can sort of bring it in. And I love that the cards that you've created really give, like you just read, like such a simple yet potent way for us to tune in. And I think that that's what we're being called to do right now with the outside chaos, and is we're being called to come back into center, to receive possibility or beauty or peace, um, and to focus on that rather than on what's not going right, what's out of our control, um, what's going to happen, and really focusing on what we do know, what we can access in the here and now, which is our thoughts, and and connecting to the body.
Absolutely. And I really believe it's been my experience. It's the simple, cumulative things that we do all the time. So if you had an intention practice that was like a minute in the morning, and you just took a few times throughout the day to reconnect with that intention. Like our brains are wired for a negativity bias. So our survival instincts are looking for fear and negativity and chaos. So these practices are actually rewiring our brains. And so we're choosing what we want to create for ourselves. And when we are calm and mindful, and to your point, really embodying this, we're living, it sounds so cliche, like our own best lives, but like then we can also be effective participants on this planet. It's not like we're like countering like that fear and chaos, but we are, by cultivating this, it's like it diminishes that, and that's what we need to happen. But it starts here. Like, where am I going to put my energy? I'm going to put it into, I just learned through my recovery from addiction, like when I put my energy into nourishing myself, my peace of mind, my own well-being, what am I going to do next? Like, I'm happier, the people around me are happier, like everything just flows better. Is it perfect? It's not perfect. And then the other thing I just wanted to say to your point about, infusing intention, with crystals and meditation, it's also in everything you do. So it's like, could you, sometimes I'll be sitting at my computer, I'm about to do maybe like a project kind of stresses me out. I'm like, how could I infuse this with joy? Like, what if I just dropped my shoulders and smiled? What if I just turned on some good music? What if I got myself a nice coffee? Like, how could I just even shift my attitude towards this before I even start?
Yeah, it's so powerful. That small choice. I think it's very much a choice. And something that you were saying before is if we can make this choice for ourselves, then we can also choose how we navigate through our world, how we navigate in relationship to others. And you were talking about kindness. When I think in one of the 3 Instagram lives we tried, uh, about being kind and being kind with ourselves, but then taking that out into the world. And so if we can be intentional in our hearts, in our work, and how we navigate our world, then we can also bring that out into meeting, our current society, right? Meeting how we navigate COVID, meeting how we navigate, being online more, meeting how we navigate, this what seems to be like, I'm not trying to be like political or anything, but like a shift in um, the whole sphere around Trump and oppression with, race and all of these things. We can start to bring this intentionality into how we show up. And I think that that's really the key in navigating, like as I hear the car horn outside, like navigating, when things start to go to shit, when there's chaos, so much chaos that we're being sort of inundated with.
Yeah, and like in that example, a couple of things. Like, so sometimes it's also just like, what is the next best thing that I can do? Because the chaos it's like a massive project. It's like it seems so big that sometimes we get paralyzed to not doing anything, which is not good. So it's like, what's the smallest thing we can do? And then the example I was sharing about kindness was, someone saying that it wasn't working for her because she wasn't getting it back. And so I just wanted to add with this being intentional, we do it because it feels worth it to us. Do you know what I mean? So we need to be kind to model kindness. And it's not always transactional. But what I explained to her is like, you decide how you want to show up. And in my experience, a couple of things happened. Number one, you don't know always how your kindness affects other people. And sometimes you will never know. So you do it because you want to. And I have found, though, in terms of it being transactional, when I show up in the world, it comes back to me exponentially, not because I want it to or ask it to, but then I'm also have to be open to receiving it.
Yeah.
And so the open to receiving is very important. And then the last thing is, I was also saying, when we set these intentions, the universe is going to give you lots of opportunities to practice. It's going to say, okay, Adrienne, like, you want to be kind? Let's do it. So it's messy. Like, it's not always, I'm just going to be kind, and everything's going to be rosy. I'm going to be disappointed, and it's not always going to work, but I'm going to learn and realign.
Maybe the last thing that we can share before we wrap up is, how can we stay open when, our instincts may be to like shut down, collapse. How do we stay open, so that we can receive, so that we can be met? What are some suggestions that you might have?
Well, I'm sure many of the people who follow you, like any of the embodiment work that you do, like just deep breathing, being centered, I think, well, yeah, I first of all, I think just having some sort of intention setting practice, whether it's choosing an intention, I do find that deep breathing helps a lot. And then the more you can layer into your practice, things like meditation, yoga, anything that just really helps you connect mind, body, and spirit. So this isn't just taking over. And I just was also saying, like, sometimes we say we want to create things, and then when they come to us, we're not willing, or like somehow we don't want to open to it. So I talk a lot about joy. And so I've met a lot of people who are like, I don't know what that feels like. And so I'm also just suggesting, while we're on this planet, like, what in your day would make you feel that's healthy? Do you know that's nourishing, rejuvenating, sustainable, like would bring you some joy? Is it like texting a friend, a favorite song, some deep breathing, going for a walk, smelling some flowers? Like, it's these simple things that help you ground, but also help you be happy and calm and open. And also, open can just be open like this. You don't have to open wide if that feels too vulnerable or unsafe, or there aren't boundaries for you. Like, just opening a little bit all the time and allowing yourself joy, calm, ease, peace, whatever the word is that resonates for you and to your work, like knowing what that feels like in your body.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For me, it's like wearing I have a favorite sweater or like a scarf is just enough for me to like ground and then be able to like be more receptive. And then obviously dancing.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you so much for hopping back on to Zoom with me and doing this call and talking about what do we do when things start to go to shit. And maybe you can tell people how they can find you. Anything else that you might want to share?
Yeah, sure. My website is mayyouknowjoy.com, and I love Instagram. That is also at @mayyouknowjoy. I'm also on Facebook, and yeah, I just like to create products and experiences to help people, connect to this daily practice. So whether it's through the cards I've created or my book. Some people who really want to practice join the membership, and then that's a way to really sustain your practice and grow it. But, you can also just do all of these things on your own. It could be a Post-it note. It could be a word that you like. Like, these are all just tools. So it's really whatever tool resonates with you, it's doing it. I want you to do it.
Yes, it's very much about doing it. And I find that in my work, I bring a lot of attention in, but it's about intention and movement. And I have a series coming up starting November 1st, every Sunday. We're going to be dancing and leaning into faith and trust and how we can navigate, when we are like, how do we move through one space of frame of mind through intention and movement. And so I'm so grateful that we got to hop on here and talk today. And I look forward to keep the conversation going. Thanks, Adrienne.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.